Oh boy, so recently the dev team got called out for supposedly putting rebalancing ahead of game stability. So we have a reply right here from Square Enix about this entire situation. We're going to go over that in just a moment. Plus, a really cool, amazing altered tier legendary concept right here that we're going to be talking about. Seems like a lot of you really want to see this, and a new growing petition to remove challenge tier scaling that has just started up. We're going to talk about that as well. Plus, we're going to dive a little bit into the problems with the in-game. We're going to specifically talk about one thing, revives, and a bunch of other stuff as well. So let's do this. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good, and we're going to dive in right now. So yeah, you guys remember in my previous video that I posted, you can find it in the description or on the channel, I highlighted this post from Square Enix. They go on to detail right here about why they haven't addressed the balancing question on social media yet, and so on and so forth. And they detail basically that they want to get it right, you know, when they have something to say about what they're going to be doing when it comes to rebalancing the game even further. Now, a lot of you guys are like, why are they even considering rebalancing the game or adjusting anything right now when they've had server issues, when they have these inventory wipe issues? Why are they taking the team off of those issues and even considering balancing the game at all? So this is the reply we have here from the community manager. Let's go ahead and dive into it right now. So this was the question, actually. Prof Key challenges Square Enix, and they say, now you need to prioritize. You should have prioritized game stability over some balancing that could potentially aggravate an already aggravated community in the first place. Not to mention that the balancing was butchered. I guess that's what he was trying to say. Whoever's calling the shots, you, sir, did a terrible job. Not hating on the community manager here or the game as a whole. I really like the game and am 100 hours into the game. It's just the post-launch decision making which feels very irrational and therefore irritating to me. Now, the reply comes from Square Enix. They say this: just in case you didn't read the balance notes, balancing is done by a team that is entirely separate from those working on game stability or debugging. Both can be done at the same time without one taking precedence over the other. There are only two community managers and we are spread across everything going on. And that is the response right there. So they have two separate teams. One's really devoted to making sure that the game is stable on the server side of things. They're looking at the bugs and issues with the inventory. And then you have a team that's dedicated to more of the gameplay element stuff. And that's going to be in regards to the actual balancing of the characters, the abilities, things like that. So it wouldn't make sense to have one team doing everything. That would not make sense whatsoever. Just like you would have a development studio set up where you have your artists that are going to be focusing on your lighting, and then your artists that are going to be focused on your level design, and then your actual script writers and programmers and so on and so forth. The same can be true about, of course, developing the game post-launch with bugs versus server-side stuff versus gameplay balance. But let's get into, of course, this concept right here. This is really cool, as you can see right here. It comes from Outrider fan, who says, new altered tier legendary with 3 mods. This is a concept, and you can see it's red right here. And the cool thing about this is he showcases the 3 mods attached to this armor piece. And of course you have the set bonus active right here. But a lot of people really love this idea. And Arsenic Touch says, we'll probably see something like this. Now, we have Yusa, who says, I don't like the idea of legendary gear having fixed stats in general. Being forced to accept certain stats without any way to change them or farm for different ones feels terrible. And yeah, a lot of people really want to see changes to the legendary gear or some sort of new legendary gear introduced into the game. Honestly, it'd be cool if they can revitalize existing legendary gear so you have reasons to perhaps go out there and loot even more, or they should just add a whole new tier like this right here. Probably a whole new tier would be best. V Wolf says this: legendary should allow you to customize both mod slots. That by itself would make them extremely powerful since they also come with a set bonus. Having 3 mods plus set bonus would be too much and would make using legendary gear mandatory in the long run. They should certainly be powerful, otherwise why call them legendary? But they shouldn't be the only gear worth using in the in-game. I totally agree. You know, I've been seeing people running with lots of purples and stuff, and they've been all been able to figure that out. So that's cool to see. Again, you know, people want to also be able to swap out the attributes as well, as I showcased this in my previous video too. But that would be cool. That would even make legendary gear matter even more as we head into the boss battle right here. We're going to talk a little bit more about boss battles in just a moment, by the way, or in another video. I really want to talk about those for the future of the game as well. Now, let's talk about the petition going on to remove challenge tier scaling. This one comes from Philosophic, I think it is. He says, "Dear people can fly. Challenge tier automatic downscaling in Expeditions is currently broken and needs to be completely removed from the game. In its current state, you are actively discouraging progression and cooperative play. Presently, players can clear a tier without problem, progress a tier, and then drop back down to a lower tier and be unable to clear content as easily because scaling is reducing their power too severely. This is made even worse when joining a lower tiered friend to the point of cooperative play. It is discouraged because your power level gets nerfed into the ground to the point the lower tiered character will have to carry you. In no way should any player be clearing a tier and then be unable to continue to clear that very same tier just because they progressed a tier and want to drop back down. Not should they be able to, wait, excuse me, it says not should they be punished for trying different builds and then becoming essentially stuck at a content wall due to harsh downscaling. Now, the point of progressing is to gain power and feel like a powerful god as an outrider that is altered with superpowers, instead of many are currently left feeling like a useless foot soldier just because they want to farm lower tiered content. Now, downscaling is simply a bad design philosophy players play to gear up and be able to feel like gods and crush content. No one wants this artificial progression blockade that hinders you just for progressing. Remove it. And there are a lot of people that agree with this one. 193 upvotes already. This has been out for a day. But a lot of replies indicating that, you know, people are really upset with how the scaling works once you hit the challenge tiers and that it needs to be fixed. And also perhaps that it's glitching as well. I've noticed some weirdness with it as well when playing with others too. Now, you know, it keeps going right here. You have more people agreeing, please remove the downscale when playing solo. This is also happening in solo as well. Now, Refinier says this, I'm in challenge tier 15, all gear level 50, but I find it doesn't really make sense to only get the most out of my level 50 gear without running challenge tier 15 content. Personally, I'm still running since the legendary drop rate is high, but say I want to run some hunts, I should be running through World Tier 15 hunts as an unstoppable machine at this point, but the downscale prevents that. It's only easy for me because Challenge Tier 15 takes more coordination and focus to gold clear. And lots of agreement with that one. It seems like there's some issues with the in-game content and Expeditions for sure. And even Forbes wrote an article expanding a little bit upon the problems with the in-game Expeditions. We're going to dive into one specific part that I really want to highlight, and that is revives. They go on to say that speaking of revives, the current system which disrupts your revive of a teammate when you take damage is terrible. They need to adopt the Destiny system of reviving through damage. If the player is in a rough spot, you may die trying to revive them, but having players actually be interrupted when taking damage means you have to either solo clear everything in the room or do an elaborate lure dance taking a room full of enemies away. Tricksters can use a time bubble, sometimes revive in the middle of combat, but the system needs some reworking. I totally agree. I found it so frustrating in the game when you're just trying to revive someone, you get to them and then you just can't because you're being staggered all the time or stunned, and the revive is not taking, it's not being accepted at all. Now, as you can see, we are facing off against this boss right here. My opinion, if they do new bosses like this one in the future, they really need to do some work on them. They're really fun, don't get me wrong, but your abilities become pretty much pointless in a lot of these engagements, and that was one of the things mentioned right here. The biggest mistake with the campaign is all the bosses without waves of fodder spawning. That's another issue because there's too many bosses that don't have enough underlings to really heal you up. In this case, there were some that did appear, but I think they need to, of course, work on their boss design and really have it where you as a powerful outrider can actually use all the abilities that you have invested in. I think that would be really cool. Now, here's another really noteworthy discussion. This one comes from Gluten Gimp, who says, devs, please count impelled enemies as dead. I can't really see any reason for dead impelled enemies to obstruct view and collision of bullets, etc. Slow down respawns in a game built around fast times in the end game. Please just despawn them logic-wise and just let it be a graphical effect. This is referring to, I think, most Devastators, you know, when you do the impel move, it seems like the enemies are getting in the way of your bullets and so on and so forth, and that's a real problem. All right, now it's time for, you guessed it, your top comments. So let's do this. Remember, leave a comment down below. It can end up right here in a video. You never know. So my most recent video was called Outriders News Updates. Dev team responds about rebalancing, future updates, and new in-game concerns. So let's talk about that a little bit further. So Mr. I don't know how to say that one. Opez says this: the response on the why no response to rebalancing issues by the community manager is absolutely gold. I love the response like this, excuse me, 100 times more than a swift non-information tweet or comment. This one showed that they are actually putting thought into it, which is a good thing. You got 10 upvotes on that one. I Am Dusty says, really hope they fix us not being able to even log into the characters that got wiped. Again, it seems like it's some sort of safeguard. I'm thinking that they're going to unlock that. It's so weird. Kurt Workman says, so grateful for your content. You're doing a hell of a job with covering the game. P.S. Love this game so much. Oh, I appreciate that, dude. I absolutely am addicted to this one. Let me tell you what. And I love, one thing I do love about it, and I haven't talked about this, is the fact that it has this Gears of War DNA. I pretty much played all the Gears of War game, and I actually co-opted the, I think it was Gears of War 5 with my twin bro Ryan. We did the entire game together, and my god, it was so much fun. So I'm waiting for him to level up with me to my level, you know, max level. So I'm like, Ryan, hurry up, dude. But anyway, let's keep going here. Muddy Pigeon says, Devastators remind me of my wife. She rarely goes down too. Oh, wow. Okay. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to read here. Peter Leroy says, I am Devastator. I am solo. Me against the world. Jim says, as a Devastator, really develop that bottom tree. That makes the build practically unstoppable. So that's Jim's advice right there. Dude. Drunken Mage says this: there's so much class elitism, honestly. I feel bad for many Devastators because many of them have been kicked, but they are by no means weak. While climbing the ranks, there has been many times the run was saved by the absolute fortress. That is the Devastator. They need some love, and I appreciate all of them. LOL. And let's be honest, seeing impelled spikes are so satisfying. Yeah, absolutely. Seems like they need to just fix the issue with like them blocking bullets or something like that. There you have it. That's the latest happenings around Outriders. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know again what you think of that legendary concept. What is it called? The altered tier concept. I really think this is cool. I think honestly we might actually see something like this down the road, perhaps in some sort of expansion or something like that. But that would be freaking awesome. But stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.